So I am Mrs. Rehor in the counseling office, and today we're just going to do a quick presentation about college visits and some tips for you guys about how to make the most of them, and a little bit about some strategies for connecting with colleges most effectively during this time when you're searching. So the first thing I wanted to remind you guys is that we've already done one Zoom about the top 10 things that you can do during this time. So as you're moving from junior year to senior year, that is a really good time to start thinking about applying to college if that's the route that you're going. And I just wanted to throw this back up here to remind you guys of these 10 things we suggested that you think about for this summer and spring. So obviously we are going to talk about number 4 today, but the rest of them are all super important. So I just wanted to throw that out there as a reminder. Don't forget about retaking your SAT or ACT or researching admission requirements. All this stuff is important, but we obviously are going to talk about college visits. So the first thing I wanted to share with you guys is that we actually have, you may or may not know this, but our College and Career Academy, the CCA, has tons of college reps that will come to Fishers High School to share information about their college and meet students. So that is something that you actually can take advantage of when you are at school. So there's, in the fall, there will be a long list. We don't have it yet because they're not set up yet, but there will be tons of college reps who are going to visit, and you are more than welcome to sign up for as many as you want and meet as many of those reps as you want to kind of learn more about those different schools. And it's a very low risk way to learn more about a school. So we highly recommend that you do that. And those are, just as a reminder, those are set up by the CCA office. So if you are trying to figure out how to sign up for them, or you want to know if a certain college is going to be on the list, you definitely can stop by the CCA and ask them about that. Ask them any questions you need to. And I'm going to show you guys really briefly how you will sign up for those once it is fall and there's colleges that you can sign up for. So in Naviance, you all should be familiar, but you remember you log in through Naviance through Clever. So Clever is the way that you get to Naviance. So you'll go to the colleges tab at the top, you'll hit home, pretty simple, and then you'll scroll down to the bottom of that page. When you scroll down, you should see this section that says college visits. So that will show you different colleges that are signed up for visits at Fishers High School. So that's, you'll be able to click on them, and it'll show you the different reps that are coming. Okay, so that is the one thing I wanted to share first. The second thing, obviously, is campus visits actually at the colleges that you are interested in. So I'm going to share a couple different things about it. First thing, though, you really need to do your research before you just sign up for a bunch of different campus visits. So one thing that we want you guys to do is really start to think through which colleges are good fits for me as a student. You could think about the location. Do you want to go to a college that's far away? You could think about if you want a big or small school. Maybe the cost is a factor for you. Maybe the college that you like doesn't have the major you want to study, so you probably shouldn't go there. So those are all a couple things that you should think about before you start finding out which ones you want to visit. And once you have a short list, it really is helpful to start getting out there and getting on campus and experiencing what those campuses feel like and all that kind of stuff. So narrow it down first, and then you should really start signing up for visits. One other thing that Mr. Hornberger and I talked about is that you really should look into what your actual major, what the professors in that department might be interested in and what they do research on. So maybe you are a student that might want to get involved in doing research with a professor one day. So that's something that if you're really stuck between two colleges, that could be a really helpful thing for you to both have conversation with professors when you get there, when you're doing visits maybe, and kind of helping you navigate, okay, which one does do I like more? Which one seems more interesting? So that's a really good thing that you can always check out. So I want to definitely mention that you can use college visit days during the school year. So if you're a junior, you have 4 visit days during that school year. And once you're a senior, that resets and you have 4 days. So you can take excused absences to go see colleges. You do definitely need to make sure, guys, that you will submit that absence through Skyward or by calling the attendance line. So make sure that you do that ahead of time. You should probably do that a couple days before at least. So you can start doing that now. Maybe you want to visit a campus in the next couple weeks before school ends. Obviously, if it's the summer, you don't have to do this. But again, in the fall, once you start looking at going on visits too, you can take excused absences for that. Okay. Here's a few tips that I want to share with you guys. So it's definitely really a good thing to sign up on a college's website for a visit. And that shows that you're ready to check that college out. They have your name in the system, then they have your contact info. So that's a great way to show them that you want to kind of start looking at their college. You could definitely look, there's tons of opportunities out there to look at specific majors. Maybe you could do a visit that has components of finding out more about the major that you're interested in. Along the same lines, maybe you do want to go to med school, and there might be an advisor at that school that advises students who are doing a pre-med track. So that might be a good person to talk to. You could look them up and reach out to them about meeting with them. I definitely want to kind of emphasize this. Right now, because of COVID, there's not in-person visits for every single school out there. So a lot of schools are still doing virtual visits. If you really want an in-person visit, you can just keep checking back, and eventually they probably will have in-person visits again. So that might be a school that you'll have to wait until the fall to visit. But there's lots of schools out there that are doing in-person visits. So you just have to check and see what kind of visits that actual school is offering. And pretty much every single school will have a virtual visit. So that's something that you could even start doing today. If you want to kind of get a feel for the campus, see what it looks like, you could visit as many schools as you want virtually. So I'm going to give you guys a few examples from schools in Indiana. So this is IUPUI's website. It gives you, obviously, you always can Google the school and then visit, and you'll find lots of stuff. So this is the first thing that you'll find for IUPUI, and it'll give you different options. One thing I want to emphasize is that, just like I said, different schools have different opportunities where you could maybe look into more major specific things, and you could have more than just a general campus visit. You could actually maybe sign up for the Heron School of Art and Design visit day, so you get more personalized information about that program. So always look for that kind of stuff too. Notre Dame is one of those that doesn't have in-person visits right now. So that would be a virtual visit where you are one-on-one talking with a tour guide and they're walking you through campus. So that's still kind of cool. You're getting that one-on-one experience, but it is virtual. Purdue. I liked Purdue's website because they give you different options for things that you could learn about. So maybe you do want more of a custom visit, you could check that out. Or maybe you want to learn more about student life, you could check that out. So kind of exploring the different options that it offers you. They made sure to emphasize, hey, we are really dedicating our in-person visits to students who are already admitted. So you'll have to wait a little bit until the summer if you want to do an in-person visit, if you are a prospective student. So if you're a junior currently that's looking at Purdue. Cincinnati has in-person campus tours you can explore. Allstate had a ton of different options. I appreciated this, that you can decide if you want to like attend an info session or if you want to do a tour. And then they do have a list of special events, just like a couple other schools, that you can actually specifically, maybe I want to learn about the Honors College at Ball State. You could sign up for a visit that's specific to the Honors College. With IU, they are also not really doing a ton of in-person visits, but they give you different options for ways to walk around campus and learn about it and kind of look around, or virtual visits. So I use one of those that's not doing a ton of in-person. Butler had a couple different options too, which I appreciated. So you can look at campus tours in person or different sessions for them too. So this is the website that a lot of colleges are using for virtual visits. So you could actually just go to uvisit.com. You can Google that and look at the college search function. You can find tons. Maybe you do want to look at University of Virginia, and you can't really just like drop by and look at campus, but you could do a virtual visit and actually see a lot of different parts of campus from home. So that's a really great tool that you can use to look at schools in Indiana and schools across the country. So that's kind of the info about visits, but I wanted to end this presentation by showing you guys a few different things that you can do to really stand out to colleges, and things that you should do to interact with them and put yourself in the most positive light that you can. So here's the top 3 things that I'm going to talk about for the next few minutes. So show interest to the college, be professional when interacting with them, and reach out proactively. So the first one, with showing interest to colleges really do take note of how much you engage with them, how much you sign up for presentations or visits or information. They really sometimes will look at how many links did you click in their emails that they send. That's more highly selective colleges, but it's still something that can get tracked. So if you are on an email list for Purdue and you really want to go to Purdue, you should be clicking as many links and looking at as many things as you can. And really, you can start doing this now. It's something you probably are getting tons of emails from colleges. So instead of just deleting them right out of your email, maybe take a few minutes to actually click some links and look at it. These are just 2 examples of different ways that you can start engaging with schools right now. So I went to Butler's website and they have just an open house Zoom information session that you can sign up for and go to. And that will definitely demonstrate interest to Butler. Same thing for Purdue. I went on there and they had all different kinds of, obviously you can see if you want a one-on-one meeting or you want a recorded session, you can find all kinds of information, and that will show them that you are interested in them. The other thing to show interest is that you should apply as soon as you can. That really shows a college, okay, this applicant is really putting us at the top of their list. They got their application in as quickly as they could. And so we're going to consider that when we're looking at their application. So November 1st does tend to be one of the early deadlines, but of course you need to make sure that you are actually checking that for yourself. Some schools, there's very few, but some might be October 15th. Some might be November 15th. So just make sure that you know that earliest possible deadline, and that you have it marked in your calendar and you are getting that application in. Be professional. There's a lot of different ways that you can show colleges that you are a professional student who they want to consider. So if you ever are meeting, if you're going to campus or you're meeting a rep from a school, you should always be treating it like a job interview. So you should always be dressed appropriately. You should be like communicating respect with your body language and your verbal things that you're saying to the person. So those are things that you should do in life, but especially things you should do when interacting with colleges. One thing that I think is always good is to have a question ready to ask. Maybe it's just, what do you love about the school that you work for? And that's an easy question for a college rep to answer, but it shows them that you're actually thinking about their college. Email is a big thing. We obviously live in a world of email, especially right now. So the biggest thing, the first thing I want to tell you is if you don't have an email that has your first and last name in it, and that's it, you really should get one. You can get one for free at a lot of different websites. And I'm actually going to show you a couple examples. So if you happen to have an email that's similar to one of these, you should maybe consider making a new one. So, there's nothing wrong with these, but again, colleges want to know that you are a student who's ready for the real world, who's professional, and will be able to engage with professors and community members effectively. So you maybe don't want an email that is portraying anything except just your first and last name. So I have a couple examples here. Maybe if your first and last name is taken, you could add some numbers, or you could use like initials if you need to. So definitely consider that. And other things about email, obviously you should always be communicating professionalism in the actual body of the email. So you should definitely check your punctuation, capitalization, grammar. That stuff all makes sense, but it's not always something that students do. So these are definitely things that you need. Again, lots of you probably are very proficient at this, but some just need a reminder that you definitely need a subject. You need a greeting that says good morning or hello. You need to be effective in your body paragraph, and then you definitely need to sign your name with a closing. So just really good reminders. I just want to mention social media. So in our world, this is something that everybody has and uses, and it's just always a good reminder, whether it's going to be a job or a college, that people will look at your social media when they're hiring you or accepting you. They will look you up. And so you need to be aware of what you're posting. Maybe your rule should be that you shouldn't post anything that you wouldn't want someone who's reviewing your application to look at. That is just something that you should always be aware of. And my last thing is that it just is always a good thing to reach out to the college and be proactive in your communication. So if you ever do have a question, maybe about the school or the admissions process or anything at all, you can always reach out to that person, and then they'll start to have your name in mind. It will maybe be familiar to them the more that you reach out. So not to be obnoxious or ask a million questions, but if you do have a question, it's a very direct source to get the information from. So you could either find that on the college's website, or you could ask your counselor. We tend to have a list of reps around the area that are the rep for Fishers High School. So that's something that we might have that we could share with you. So that is the end of my presentation. So a few final reminders just to summarize. You definitely should schedule some visits for the spring and summer just to start getting the gears turning about what colleges you really do like and see yourself at. You should continue to engage. So whether that's signing up for information or reaching out, those are things that you should be doing. And then lastly, if you are still just completely lost about this process, or maybe you have really specific questions about certain schools or anything, you are more than welcome to reach out to our college and career counselor, Linda Brown. So she's in the CCA. If you're at school, you could stop by and see her, or you could always send her an email. And that is it. So thank you guys for coming.